we decided it would be better to have a visual representation of what's going on here. We have a map of China. I'm actually going to get us out of here. And this first incident we're going to tell you, or show you, is very telling, and it explains exactly what's going on. So here in Qingdao, we have an incident. Now, in this particular incident, nobody was killed. Okay? But this shows you exactly what's going on. We have a cement truck driver, you know, one of those big cement trucks?
Yeah.
You know?
Those mixer things?
Yeah, cement mixer. And he's filmed himself. I'll show you right now. Filmed himself. Let's see what he had to say.
36啊！我这一前屋里36，妈了个逼！共产党不让我活了，我杀人！妈了个逼！我操你娘！谁不服？谁不服？谁倒霉活该！妈了个逼！啊！谁不服我就杀他，杀人！妈了个逼！我操你娘！共产党不让我活了，今晚啊，我在家里派出所。
He is speaking with a very heavy accent, but we can pick up the words, and we did confirm with some of our Chinese friends to make sure what he was saying. And he is saying, the Communist Party won't let me live, so I'm going to kill people. That's what he said. And he went on a rampage. Now, it's very important to pay attention. He didn't kill anyone, thankfully, but it was just luck, because he rammed into several cars. He rammed into a bus.
带回家了啊！带回家了以后，让我滚蛋！我杀人！妈了个逼！我操你娘！共产党不让我活了，我杀人！你妈了个逼！滚！你妈了个逼！我操着你娘！不服你是谁？
So I just want to pause it right here. He took his fully laden cement mixer truck, smashed through cars, hit buses, hit all sorts of things, and then drove specifically to a shopping mall and tried to drive onto the pavement where all the people are. And you can see him doing it here. This is the shopping mall. He destroyed a bunch of e-bikes and motorbikes and stuff that were parked there and cars, but the bollards actually stopped him. If his vehicle hadn't physically stopped, he would have run over lots of people, right? But this shows you what's going on in China. This is called revenge against society. And this is what happens when people reach their wits' end. In China, there's just this phenomenon. You reach your wits' end. You have no out. Something terrible's happened to you. You've lost all your money. You just cannot live. Something awful's happened in your life. The only way people seem to take out their frustrations is by attacking society. In other words, just going on like mass killing sprees.
There's no protest. There's no freedom of speech. There's no legal outlet. You can't even air your displeasure with the government or whatever happened to you. You can't do anything.
No.
So this stuff builds up. There's also no psychological help centers.
Exactly. Just wanted to... We'll play in the background.
发生重大交通事故，一辆自卸车、水泥搅拌车报复社会，连撞逆行50多辆车，车友会。
He says hit more than 50 vehicles.
车辆。
So as you can see the bollards, you see all the people ambling around and riding past and stuff. Because of the bollards, you can see them over there, and whatever vehicles that stopped his cars, actually stopped him from doing any damage. We've got the police report coming up in a minute. But we just wanted to get back to the actual... let me kill them. We just wanted to get back to the actual cause of this again. As you were saying, there are no proper mental health facilities in China. You know, there just isn't anything to really help these people. And it's seen as a weakness.
Yeah, that's the word.
And this is the biggest problem. So what happens when people snap? They have no outlet. And, you know, sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I personally get a little bit annoyed by protesters who go out and make a big scene of things and have to wave their flags and stand in the traffic or whatever they do. But at the end of the day, that's a healthy outlet for all that rage and, you know, perceived, I don't know what you would call it, injustice that they face. It's a good thing you can do that. In China, you can't do that. You have to sit there, smolder, and when things just blow up, there's no real outlet. Not making excuses for mass murders, by the way. That's just what happens in China. So we've been seeing this happening, well, almost every day across China. There's been some or other incident that's similar to this. Something where somebody snaps and goes on a stabbing spree, drives into people, things like that. So we just wanted to point out, because again, it happened yesterday, we just wanted to point out a little bit of a timeline. Just a couple of incidents that have happened in this past month.
You mean like 10?
Yeah.
A couple of two, remember?
Sorry, a few. What would you say? A handful.
Many.
Okay, many. Yes, There's
been dozens.
Yeah.
Right, but we're going to show you maybe 10.
Yes. And again, daily I see reports of these things happening in China. People send me the videos. They tell me about it.
Just to preface this too, is that I want you to know, like in America or in most developed countries, you can see a crime map. You can see where things happen. There are news reports. It makes headlines. It's available to know, right? Yeah. In China, it's not. It's just not.
No,
right. In fact, they remove all this information.
That's another important part about this initial incident that we're showing you here. This cement mixer incident is that people, when they shared these videos online, their videos were deleted. When they tried to discuss this incident online, it was deleted. So it just goes to show, if you were to see something as big as this, like a cement truck drove into crowds in any big city, at a mall, and you try to talk about that, there's a guy, they actually caught him, by the way, and took him away. But here's the thing. If you were to see this and you posted about it online on your social media and your media posts just got deleted.
In a main city, by the way.
Yeah, here's proof of the posts being deleted and people not being able to comment. Imagine you tried to do that. That's what happens in China. And that way they stop the spread of this news. People don't know about it because it's all deleted and censored. And that's what happens with everything. When the official police reports are released on these incidents, they always downplay it. You know?
Yes.
For instance, here they're like, he was drinking alcohol. He likes to, he drinks alcohol and that's it. That's why he was drunk. Not anything else. Not the fact that he's shouting on his own recording, the Communist Party won't let me live. I'm going to kill people. No, they're like, drunk driver just, had a little drunk driving incident.
They have to excuse it away.
Yeah.
Because the party is not at fault for anybody's discontent.
So let's take a look what's happening next. We actually wanted to flash back to Shanghai on the 30th of September, so a month ago. But more than a month ago. Because this was a massive incident and it seemed to have sparked off a lot of other incidents.
Yeah.
And
a lot followed.
We did report on this, but a Chinese man went on a stabbing spree in Walmart in Shanghai. Remember, Shanghai is the most sophisticated city in China. He stabbed 18 people, including children, and he killed 3 people and injured 15. Of course, we're not going to show you any of the stabbing. We're not going to show you any of the horrific scenes. Very disturbing stuff. But again, this is a public attack. You can actually see the freeze frame. He's got 2 knives in his hands there, and he went and he did a lot of damage. But again, what was their explanation for this? They said he came to Shanghai to vent his anger due to a personal economic dispute and committed the above-mentioned acts. Personal dispute, again. So he had a financial problem. What did he do? He went to Shanghai, to a Walmart where he could just target random people and attack them. This is different from having like if you had a personal dispute with a business partner and maybe something happened and you had an altercation or you I don't know, something happened between the two of you. That's a bit more understandable. But in China, unfortunately, society has shaped this phenomenon where people, when they have a dispute and they can't resolve it, they rather just go out and attack the public. And this is just something that's horrible because you could be out in public, your family could be out in public and just become a random statistic. You know what I mean? That's different to everywhere else as far as I know. Let's see what's next. Okay, now Hebei and Shijiazhuang. Here we just had a taxi driver go on a stabbing spree, and again, we don't want to get into the nasty details of these events, but it's just we have to show you that these things are happening all over the country. what happened next. These are chronological, by the way. So this will be on October 11th in Quingdao in Fujian. A Chinese man stabbed 4 people, killing 2 and injuring 2. Here we have what's blurred out there is they're actually subduing the attacker. So, you know, there's nothing really bad happening. They're just subduing him after he's done his dirty deed. Let's move on to our next one. This time in Fujian and Zhangzhou, Chinese man deliberately rammed into a middle school as parents were picking up their children, seriously injuring the students, and his car then burst into flames. Now, this is particularly heinous, and something that we've seen a lot is the attacks against children, and schools in particular. And this is something that's been going on since the early 2000s, I'd say. I remember around about 2012, was it, when there was a huge spate of kindergarten stabbings and so on, right? So here, while the parents were picking up their children, very crowded, this guy drove his car pretty much straight through all of them, injuring a whole whack of people, and his car caught on fire. He didn't survive. But the police report says a small motor vehicle crashed and started a fire. And says 3 people were hospitalized and their lives were not in danger. This is a bad translation. The driver was killed. And the cause of the accident is currently under investigation. Again, it's kind of very clinical, very downplayed, but it is a revenge against society attack. So that was the 17th of October. Next. Now we're in Ningbo in Zhejiang. A 50-year-old Chinese man brutally stabbed a mother and her child on the way to school, and their condition is unknown. Again, this is just one of those horrible situations where a random attack happens against a child and their mother by a middle-aged man, and it's random. There's no connection. There was no family connection. There was zero connection between the attacker and the victims. All right, and here they say the 2 injured people were sent to the hospital for treatment. And I certainly hope they survive. But there's no update on this, of course, because once the initial police reports are put out, that's about all you ever hear, you know? So that was the 22nd of October, 2024. Let's move on as we get closer. Where to next? Nantong in Jiangsu, okay? A Chinese man deliberately drove his Xiaomi EV into a motorcycle shop, destroying multiple bikes, and then he stabbed somebody who sadly didn't survive. We will not show any footage of the stabbing, but this is prior to the stabbing. This guy obviously just lost it and drove into the motorcycle shop. Maybe he had a dispute with the people who worked there, who knows? But he just went on a rampage, smashing into things, and when he did get out of the car, he stabbed someone. So, another horrific incident. And these are all happening day after day. As you can see, the dates are in every one of these things we talked about. There's a date attached to it, you can see. Some of them happen on the same day, some of them happen the next day, but it's almost impossible to go a day without one of these incidents happening in China at the moment.
And it's hard for people to get this information out, so you can imagine how many are actually happening.
Absolutely.
You know?
Also, it's not widely reported. I'm pretty sure if something like that happened, you know, anywhere else, it would make front page news. Mm-hmm. It would make international news if something like that happened in Los Angeles or something.
Yeah.
Again, they just say, you know, unfortunately, the man who was stabbed did not survive. But there's the police report for you if you'd like to read it. Let's see where the next incident takes place. October 24th, in Qingdao in Jiangxi, a Chinese man deliberately drove over students outside of the Qingdao University. Again, targeting students. and drove through a crowd of them. Of course, we cannot show you any of this because it's horrific. But we know some facts about Qingdao, don't we?
Yes, it's a ceramic capital of China. Porcelain.
It's actually kind of a fascinating place.
Yeah, they make military helicopters there for the PLA. It sounded like a really tiny place in the middle of nowhere, but it actually has some significance.
Yeah, it also doesn't it have a bunch of 5A tourist
Yeah,
spots?
a bunch of tourist sites. You can get to like Lushan from there and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, it's quite a place.
Yeah.
But again, unfortunately, students being targeted seems to be quite the running theme.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens next. This time in Beijing, middle-aged Chinese man stabbed 3 school children. Again, randomly, just outside of a school. Of course,
There's a lot happening all at once.
yeah. And again, the dates. Sorry, let me get back to the date. I forgot to read it. I probably should read the dates. Yeah, sorry, October 28th. So this is Beijing, the capital. Even the capital is not exempt from this kind of thing, because you would think, okay, Beijing, there's a big military presence, you know, it is the seat of the government. You'd expect that these kind of incidents don't happen that often, but they happen in Beijing too. It's around the entire country.
Beijing's seen a spate of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Explosions and stabbings and
So again, 3 school children just randomly stabbed by a middle-aged guy. It always seems to be that. It's awful. It has to be talked about because it's the only way this will ever stop is if people talk about this. It is a phenomenon that's uniquely from mainland China. It really is. This idea of middle-aged men attacking young children doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Not in this frequency anyway.
it's a combination of revenge on society and also copycat attacks.
Yeah.
You hear about it and then it's replicated, you know. It's kind of like the school shooting thing in America. Huge epidemic of school shootings in the U.S. that you don't see in other countries.
Correct.
It's very unique to America, just like a lot of this stuff is unique to China.
Correct, yes. That's a good analogy. Okay, also in Beijing, staying in Beijing, on the same day, October 28th, an adult art student stabbed a female classmate in a Beijing art studio.
It's the kind of stuff you didn't really hear about back in the day.
No.
Seems like a massive uptick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 1 stabbing incident in a day, but like 2, it's a bit much. She's fine, though. She survived, but, you know, it was close there. All right, where are we moving to next? Nanchang in Jiangxi. A Chinese man stabbed and killed a woman at the Nanchang Institute of Science and Technology.
What a Jiangxi's.
Yeah, it seems to be quite common. Of course, we can't show you any of this. It's very disturbing. I did have to watch all these videos. I'll tell you what, it's not good for your mental health to go through this stuff. But I can confirm that all of these are real. And we're not showing you the footage because that's not what we do here.
No.
Right? What's next? Next, we have Shenyang in Liaoning. A car intentionally rammed into a famous morning market, injuring scores of people. More than a dozen were injured, and other casualties are unknown.
This is something we've seen a lot of recently, too, is this idea that you get into a car and just drive into people. And that's not something I had seen previously in China. I mean, there's a ton of road fatalities and accidents all the time. It's a horribly dangerous place to drive / to be a pedestrian. But this intentional, like, vehicular homicide stuff is, like, definitely copycat attacks right now in China.
Yeah, so that was November 4th, just a couple days ago. And this particular market is famous because of Wang Hong. Can you explain what a Wang Hong is?
It's just an internet celebrity.
Yeah, so it's internet famous. People go to this morning market and like, oh, I'm buying my first vegetables or whatever. So it's a famous market. So, of course, that would be a target.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they want to inflict as much damage as possible. When people snap like this, they just, you know, that's what they want to do. So, you know, you can imagine this incredibly crowded market and someone just rides right through it.
For sure.
Again, why is this not headline news around the world? Because this is a big event.
The thing is that the issue that I have with this stuff is that, I mean, I saw in the chat as well, there are crazy things that happen everywhere in every country every day, right?
Yeah.
But all those things are documented, right?
Yeah.
Those things are huge news. You turn on BBC, if you turned on BBC and somebody had driven a car and killed a bunch of students in a school, then that would be news, right?
And that you're saying crazy things happen all over the world. You're saying that because you know about them.
Yeah, correct.
That's the only reason why you're saying that.
The reason this is unique is that you don't know about it.
No,
right?
you don't.
This isn't being reported. It's not being put out there. That's unfair. Why is it that when 4 Americans were stabbed in China, it made huge, massive news? It was front page on every single publication.
Yes.
Every major publication.
Correct.
Why is that the case? But then when Chinese people get stabbed in China or run over or these mass attacks happen, these crazy, crazy things, it doesn't make front page news.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unfair. It's unfair to the victims,
Yeah.
you know? Okay. So of course it doesn't end there. Let's move on from this one. Where are we going to next? Lodi in Hunan, November 6th. So this happened. Sorry, I better rewind so we can actually see what.
2 days ago.
Yeah, this happened. Actually, it was November 6th evening, so it's really just 1 day ago.
Okay.
Because China's ahead. A Chinese man deliberately drove his car into a student outside of the Lodi number 8 middle school and fled the scene. Again, it's attack against students.
That is a current phenomenon in
Yeah.
China right now.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. I think it's been a snowball thing.
Yeah.
Because we were horrified when we saw the first couple things. Like, I'd say it probably started about a year ago. Coming out of like zero COVID, I started to see this kind of stuff ramping up, and it's getting so much worse now.
Yeah, when people are dissatisfied, they attack children.
Yeah.
That's
for
the
sure.
worst part, you know?
For sure.
Anyway, I realized that this might be in poor taste, but this looked very much like those chalk drawings that the investigators do when they, mark out a body in the movies.
Sure.
And that's kind of only within the period of a month.
Yeah.
And those are just some of the incidents, not all of them. So we wanted to bring this to your attention because we think it's important and it needs to be discussed. This is breaking news. This is happening every single day. I can guarantee you something that happened this morning has not been reported on yet. Something I will find out tomorrow that something happened right now and something will happen tomorrow. It's ongoing. These spates of attacks around China are just insane and incessant and relentless and not stopping. And it's very worrying. In case you didn't know what I'm supposed to be, I'm a last-minute hipster.
I look like a fucking shamateur.
You do. Dude, this is a shamato wig.
I am a avid micro fisherman. Do not make any jokes. This is freaking annoying! Oh my gosh, I'm actually gonna have a panic attack! Microfishing is the idea that you go
Use your little fishing rod.
They will not bite on a full-size pole, right? So either, oh my god, I'm gonna have to take
sorry.
this thing off.
They will not bite on a full-size pole.
Come on! This is a horny-headed chub, which is not really conducive to the jokes we've been making, isn't it?
Close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind